come to the end of chapter 15. We're going to be covering verses 33 through 47 in this episode, and we really get to see Mark brings out the sacrifice that Jesus made for us. We see that we are now at the 6th hour of Jesus' crucifixion, which is probably around noon, and a dark supernatural darkness has covered the land. This is more than just a cloud kind of covering the sun. This is a darkness that probably signified the sin that Jesus was going to take on himself. We then come to the 9th hour. This is probably around 3 p.m. And we hear Jesus cry out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And at this moment, Jesus has taken on the sins of every person that has ever lived previous to him and every person that will ever live after him. And this has caused his union with God to be broken. He's now separated from God. And we just hear the anguish and the despair in Jesus' voice with this comment, almost as if this is worse, and I'm sure it was worse for him than the beatings and the scourging that he took previously coming up to his crucifixion, even the pain and suffering that he has endured the last 6 hours on the cross. This separation was much more intense than any of that. We then see Jesus given the sour wine on the reed stick, and Mark doesn't give a lot of detail with the last bit of Jesus' life, but it says that he cries out in a loud voice, and then he breathes his last. And then we see the veil of the temple being torn from top to bottom. And this is the ultimate symbol or sign that Jesus has become that ultimate sacrifice. No longer will people have to come to God through the high priest and through making sacrifices of bulls or lambs. That veil, that process is now gone, and Jesus has become the ultimate sacrifice, and we have direct connection to God through Jesus because he died on the cross and took all of our sins for us and became that ultimate sacrifice, which is just an amazing thing to think about. We then come to the end of chapter 15 where Joseph of Arimathea requests for Jesus' body. He does this to Pilate. Some of the commentators say that this was a pretty brave thing to do for him. He was part of the Sanhedrin, and this could have been seen as an admission to being part of Jesus' group, but Joseph of Arimathea did it anyways, and he was granted Jesus' body, and so he took Jesus down off the cross, seeing that he was dead, and carried him off to be buried in a tomb according to the customs of the time. And in chapter 16, we get to see the sweet victory that Jesus has. And so I won't spoil that. But in recap, we've seen Jesus' innocence. So Jesus was an innocent man. He suffered greatly for you and I. And he became the ultimate sacrifice so that now we have direct access to God through Jesus.